Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming weekly video, Wargaming in miniatures. Let me see if I can move my camera a little bit because it's about to fall off my table. Okay, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything there. Okay, so a couple of things I want to go over with you guys. First of all, this is a weekly live stream, semi-weekly, bi-weekly, once a month. I don't know how often it is. Why is that in there like that? Okay, whatever. I try to do it every week, but it doesn't always work out that way. And what I try to do, oh, here we go. I gotta. Okay. I was building some Flames of War tanks on the table before we got started, and I cleaned all that up because I wanted this table, I wanted some room on this table so that I could show you some ideas I've been having over the last few weeks. It's really been building up, and I think I'm making a command decision to do this. As you know, I've been kind of in the middle of writing my own Napoleonic set of rules. I call it Marshals and Generals. I am drawing ideas from a lot of different games. Like I'm drawing like shooting from this rule system, combat from this rule system. And it looks like Go For It Painting saying hello. Hey, Go For It. Welcome back. I saw you were on here the other night. Yeah, so what I do during these Wargaming weeklies is I talk about like what I'm working on. Usually I'll build models or I'll paint on the table here. And while I do that, I'll just basically shoot the shit with you guys. Just letting you guys know like what's on my mind, what I'm thinking about, and stuff like that. Sometimes I talk about my store. Sometimes I talk about my neighborhood or my post box, or, you know, I'll talk about packaging or customer troubles I'm having or dealer troubles or whatever comes to mind, right? Well, this week I want to talk about my Napoleonic rules, which is called Marshals and Generals, or MaG for short. Normally I don't, okay, this is another thing. Normally I don't use a koozie for any kind of drinks, but this can, the bottom of the can has blown out the bottom, so it actually is kind of rounded on the bottom. So I put this koozie on it, and I slid the koozie down a little bit, you know, to give it stability, so now it doesn't wobble. When it was just on the, you know, it was like a, what do they call those things? Weeble wobbles? Weeble wobbles, but they don't fall down. Well, I was afraid this was going to fall down. So I put the koozie on there just to basically give it a flat bottom. And this is a Bang flavor that I don't recommend. Usually I'll only drink stuff that I recommend. Well, that was a mistake buying that. I won't buy that again. It's root beer. It's a Bang energy drink, root beer flavor, It tastes okay. It kind of tastes like, imagine taking like a Monster energy drink and a root beer and pouring them in the same glass. They both taste okay, but together they don't really taste okay. And that's what that is. These covers are still on my fingers. Basically, I don't need the covers for anything. It's the Band-Aids that I need because I've got these blisters on my fingers. So I put these Band-Aids on there. But I've noticed that just through casual work or doing things, the Band-Aids start to loosen up and come off. So I put these covers on to keep the Band-Aids in place. That's what these covers are. It looks like Eddie Scissorhands or whatever. Okay. Also, you guys know that I'm doing a MaG boot camp where I have been doing a tutorial, not MaG, MaG, the Mortem et Gloriam, which is the, now I'm going to burp because that's carbonated. Hang on. I have a burp coming up, but it doesn't want to come up. So it's like just resting right there at my solar plexus. Okay. I got a burp, but it's not there yet. I have a MaG boot camp that I'm working on. I put it on hold. I paused it because I'm waiting for some camps to come in. I'm going to build some camps before I go on to the next chapter in the book, which is no big deal because once the boot camp is completed, it'll all be in the same place. It's just that I've been usually filming about one chapter a week, but now it's been almost a month and I haven't filmed the last couple of chapters. I might just do it with the camps that I have, but I want the new Roman camps to be on screen when I do it. So, okay. But in the reason why I brought that up is because the MaG boot camp has, because I really like MaG as a rule set. 99% of MaG I like. There's a few things in it I think are, well, they're all, it's 100% great for ancients. But when I was falling in love with MaG, my mind immediately went to what can I do? What can I use out of this rule system for my marshals and generals? Right? I said, what could I use? Well, almost all of it, actually. And we're going to go over some of it today. Yeah, we're going to go over a little bit of that today, of what my mind, my thought process. I'm going to vocalize it to you guys, visualize it on my table, and work out some kinks that I might be having in my, yes, I've got kinks. No, might be working out some kinks. So yeah. Okay. So in my marshals and generals, I've already got, okay, so I've got some ancient figures in here and I've got some Napoleonic figures and stuff like that in here. And we're going to kind of take a look at all of it and how it compares. But these are my artillery bases, right? And they are on 30 by 40s, right? As you can see. And I've got a runny nose apparently. That's what I've got. Okay, hang on. I also have an upset stomach. I've got all kinds of issues today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because I had chili for breakfast. I don't know. I got up super early today, like 3 o'clock. I had a waffle for breakfast, but then around 7 or so, I started, I said, okay, it's about lunchtime. So I went for some chili, whatever. And I haven't had my second breakfast yet. I guess that was my second breakfast. I guess I'm a half one. But okay, so I normally say that 2 bases is an artillery battery, right? In my rule system, I was going to say 1 base was a half battery, 2 bases was a full battery. So when you're looking at, so like this might be 4 guns, and this might be 8 guns in general, but there are some batteries that have like 12 guns, and so they would just have a third base. And I was going to modify the shooting based on how many bases there were. Well, I might not need to do that. I might just give 1 die per base. So a half battery gets 1 die, a full battery gets 2 dice. Basics, right? You get 1 die per base. Okay, so that's something that I'm not going to change. I'm going to leave that on 30 by 40s, right? Okay. Now here's something that I've been working with. We're going to go with cavalry. Like this is the 6th Dutch Hussars. My idea was, and it might still be, because we're going to work through this, or at least I'm going to work through this in my brain. The Napoleonics, what I was planning on doing was, going with a number of bases based on the size of the unit, because I'm going to have small, medium, and large units, and it's going to be based on how many men are actually in those units. I might even have some tiny units representing individual companies that might have been deployed, because my scale is battalion or battalion or regimental scale. So like infantry on the table would be deployed by battalion. 1st Battalion of the 4th Foot, or the 2nd Battalion of the 4th Foot. Each one of those would, or the Legers or whoever, each one of those unit groups, I'm using some MaG terms, okay? Some battle groups or unit groups, or just units for short, are going to be battalions, okay, or the cavalry equivalent. And now this is a 6-base unit and 2 figures per base. I'm not opposed to this. Okay, this is where I was planning on going. In MaG, the units are on 40 millimeter by 30 millimeter. Okay, the depth is going to be the same because I think these are 30 by 30s. They are 30 by 30s. And these are 40 millimeters. And they're a little bit closer together, as you can see. And 2 bases is almost the same width as 3 bases, with this being 40 millimeter frontage, right? So these are the same as an artillery piece, just sideways, right? So 40 by 30s. Same base, just turned for the cab. In MaG, everything, 99% of everything is on a 40 millimeter frontage. Every single thing is on a 40 millimeter frontage. And I don't think it has to be that way for my Napoleonics game. But I'm still thinking about it. Because when we get to the infantry, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, well this remember, this is a 6 base unit, and this is a 6 base unit. And you can see how much larger on the table it is and how many more figures it is. This, well, even this looks more epic than that. Even though that's the same number of figures as that, this is more compact. The depth is the same. Width is a little bit less. Same number of figures. But if I went with 6 bases, it would be just 6 more figures, and not that big of a deal. But this being 6 bases and this being 6 bases, this just looks way more epic in my opinion. I mean, it might be a little hard for you to kind of see what I'm talking about based on the way the camera is. Let's see if I can adjust and let you guys kind of... I don't know if that helped. I don't think that did. Okay, so you can, I'm gonna put it over here because it'll be a little bit more, I don't know, in line with the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. So what I'm basically just visualizing what it would look like on the table, right? I'm trying to make the game that I'm writing translate to a visually enjoyable game on the table as well. But I think either one of these would work. Like, let's say you have your miniatures at home and they're based this way. I think you could still use them as a 6 base unit. It's just that there's only 2 figures per base. This is 3 figures on a 40 millimeter frontage, where this is 2 figures on a 30 millimeter frontage. So you get about, if that was 30, okay, hypothetically, 40 and half again is 60, right? So that's 60. So you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half on the same, so it's not really that big of a difference figure wise. I think both of those could be used. So what I'm just trying to say is to the prospective owner of these rules, you wouldn't have to rebase. Or you might not even be based this way. You might be based some other way. And that's another thing I want to try to prevent is people having to rebase. But on the flip side, I don't care how you base your figures. That's you. I'm going to present a set of rules and a basing convention that fits these rules, and you decide if you want to rebase or not, and if it will work or not. That's not for me to decide, right? That's for you as a player of these rules to decide. But I think, personally, I'm going to rebase. I'm going to rebase to this. I think. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Okay, so just so you know, I don't know what I want to do. Okay, so that's cavalry. Well, for one thing, it's going to make me get more cavalry figures for an equal number of bases. The depth and the width, it's instead of 30, it's 40. That does make the cavalry wider than it makes them wider, right? You're going to be getting 3 figures. It's going to basically come out to like a Perry basing method. So if you're familiar with the way Perry bases his cavalry or their cavalry, they do it 3 per base. Like on my black powder cavalry, I do it 3 per base, but I don't use the standard 50 millimeter bases. I use 75 millimeter bases. So basically, it's 1.5 times that. So it would get 3 figures. So this would only be 4 bases. And that's how I do it. Okay. It does mean there needs to be a little bit more painting involved on my cavalry, but a couple more figures will be needed, and stuff like that. But I think that's perfectly fine. So this has 12 figures. That has, what is that? 18 figures. So I think 18 figures is 2 bags of 9, which is how you get them through Old Glory, I do believe. So this is like no wastage. Okay, so let me just put that off to the side for now. So when I was starting my Marshals and Generals, I took a bunch of bases out and I kind of went through them and tried to decide before I even started the rules what I thought would look the best, but also what would more closely represent the actual deployment of the units on the table. And I came up with the 40 by 15s, right? The 40 by 15, which was an old Flames of War, I'm sorry, not Flames of War, Field of Glory basing convention. I said, okay, with 4 figures across would be a really good looking unit, right? Just like that. And there's 6 bases, right? And I definitely love the 2 ranks of infantry. But then as I got to writing the rules and started writing the shooting and the combat rules, which I never actually did finish. I only, because I ran into so many stumbling blocks and so many hang-ups that I kind of just put it off to the side and said, something will come to me. Eventually I'll have an epiphany. And so, but in the process, I realized that I needed to rebase these because if I was going to make it mandatory that every unit be 2 bases deep, which I was going to say you have to always be at 2 base depth. And so a line, this would be the best line you could form. What was happening was I was going to let people roll 1 die attack per stand in the unit, right? So it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 base unit, 6 dice. And then I thought about it in melee, I was going to do the same thing. But then I thought, why force them to be 2 ranks deep like this? Remember, partially it's because of looks. I wanted it to look proper. So I said, why don't I come up with a basing style that is the same as this, but is also 2 bases, right? So this, which is 20 millimeter frontage, right? And 30 millimeters depth, which these are 15 each, and 40 millimeters across. So this winds up being exactly the same as this, right? And with 4 of those, 6 of those, these are Brunswickers, these are my Nassau. The Brunswickers I just never had rebased yet, so they're still in the 40s. So here you go. This is 6 bases across, and this is 6 bases with 2 ranks deep because it's a minimum of 2 ranks. It winds up being exactly the same, but with this basing set, I was allowing for a line of 1 base width, right? So I could do 1 base width. And if I wanted to do 2 base widths, I could, or 2 base depth, I could do that. And then I would have a column, right? And then you could form square. I thought that these individual bases would make squares look better, you know. like this, and it would give like a hole in the middle and stuff like that. Um, something like that for a square. But now when you form a square with this, it won't look like that, right? This looks better as a square than this would, because now you've got figures sticking out the sides, you know, or I was thinking something like this, you know, but it just doesn't look like a square, right? Or I was thinking just alternatively, just taking the back rank and turning them facing backwards, and that looks like a square, but not really. It just looks like they're forward and backwards, where this shows they're facing in all four directions. So that is one reason why I adopted the thin line, right? Okay. So that's history. With a formation like, with a basing like this, I could do something called a march column. One figure width, right? And now we're talking, you know, a march column where a march column that these guys would look like that. And I have no problem with a march column looking like this. It's just that this, and this is probably more accurate column by companies or column by divisions. It's probably a more accurate width when it comes to the column. Well, actually, this one probably is this is the better depth, because columns weren't really that deep, but they were very thin if you were marching on a road, obviously. So I struggled back and forth, and I resolved or resigned to doing something like this. Okay. Let's leave all those out. Okay, so now if I did a large unit, it would basically just be 8 bases both ways, right? Either way, eight bases. And if I did a small unit, it would be 4 bases. So you're looking at a small unit like this, or a small unit like that. An attack column would look a little bit like this, which is actually the same as that. But I would call this, see, and that was another struggle I had, because if this is a march column, how am I going to get an attack column? Because as soon as I do that, it becomes a line, because it's 2 bases depth, right? Where this, I could actually make it look like a line. I could make it look like an attack column, and I can make it look like a march column, right? Okay. That was another reason why I resigned to this. A thinner frontage That's just to wet my whistle as I talk. Okay, so you get the idea of why the thinner bases, the thinner, deeper bases just seem to be a smarter but that's only when it comes to the small, because with a medium size or standard size unit, you can easily just do this, and that'll obviously show you that it's an attack column, right? Because that's not obviously a line, because it's not these guys out here like this, and it's not a march column because everybody's not like that, right? So having 6 bases allows you, 1st battalion, okay, allows you to form the attack column. Now, I considered saying that small units, that would be 4 bases or less, cannot form attack columns. They can form a line or a column, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make it so that different size units can form different types of formations. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be, because my tenet for my rules is fast, fun, and playable. So I want it to be the same across the board. Okay. So far, so good, right? Okay. So a small unit or a tiny unit in my Napoleonic rules, we're going to be 2 bases, same number of figures, but more spread out. So like they were in forced skirmish, right? So these are 30 by 30, which is the same as the old cav, right? And that looks just perfectly fine. But I'm thinking of moving towards a MaG style basing convention, and in that case, a tiny skirmisher unit in this instance would be 4 bases, because in the MaG style, remember, it's like my old basing style, it's 1 rank, unlike this is 2 ranks and this is 2 ranks, and then so it basically winds up being 40 by 40, but I am gonna base them separately, so that if they wanted to be deployed like that, they could be. They're not going to be forced to be 2 ranks deep, I don't think. Because if I was going to force them to be 2 ranks deep, I could easily just put them on 40 by 40s, like an elephant, or like a bolt thrower or something like that. Artillery might even go on a 40 by 40, right? Because in MaG, your bolt thrower artillery is on a 40 by 40, so I don't see why that couldn't be on a 40 by 40 as well. So basically just making everything a 40 millimeter frontage. That'll be, the cab would be 40 millimeter, the skirmishers would be 40 millimeter, and the artillery will be 40 millimeter. Okay. So now imagine, I brought some Macedonian hypaspids out here, but just imagine that they're French infantry or whatever. And I'm thinking about instead of doing the 15 millimeter depth, I was going to do a 20 millimeter depth, mainly for stability and to make them look a little bit more spread out, right? So this would be a 6 base unit of French infantry, approximately, right? Okay, hang on. But and then these two would make it 8. An 8 base unit or whatever. But this is basically still resorting to me telling the player that he has to deploy at a minimum of 2 base depth. I don't want to do that. I want to allow them to deploy 1 base depth so that if they wanted, they could deploy like that. But the problem with that is it loses its looks. So I've considered using the Land of the Free basing convention, which I don't have any Land of the Free American War of Independence based currently, but they use a 40 millimeter frontage, 30 millimeter depth, and they put 2 ranks of models on the 1 base, right? So they would still get 40 by 30, but you would have 8 models on 1 base, right? Okay. And then I could do another 8. Trust me, I'm actually getting somewhere. Another 8. And then another 8. Okay, so there's a 4 base unit. And it's 1 base width. I'm sorry, 1 base depth. It's just two ranks on the 1 base. So I've been thinking that which is the same as this, but thinner, still 30 millimeter depth. Which is, that is 3 bases as opposed to 6 bases. And then a large unit, which was normally going to be 8 bases, might just be 4 bases. So it winds up being the same number of figures, the same number of width on the table, because that's important, because if you have too many figures on the table, it takes up too much space. So taking this off. Okay. So what this does is it allows for 3 bases. Now, is a 3 base unit, can I do formations? Well, we can do a march column, putting them all together in a row. That's no problem. And an attack column would look a little maybe like that. And you can decide which file you want to put it on. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about it hard. It'll make for moving the units easier because you're not moving individual like 2 bases. You would just be moving 1 base. But that might be a small unit. That might be a medium unit. Then a large unit. Large, medium. Okay. So that's small, right? And this would be a tiny unit, but it would be occupying the same amount of space, even more space. It's deeper. I think that's not going to work right. Maybe if I just went like that. Whoa. Just went with 2 bases like this. That could be a tiny unit. Like this, or I could allow it to go like this. Or like that. Yeah, that could be a tiny unit. Small, medium, large. The problem with that, it's the same width as if I did 8 bases over there. It would just be 4 bases over here. Um, and this way I could shoot like 1, 2, 3, 4 dice can shoot. Um, because I think shooting 6 dice like this probably too many. Um, yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but um, yeah, march column easy, attack column easy. You know, you can do basically, I was going to say you can put your bases however you want it. You can go single file, line. You know, I can put a unit behind this unit, or I could put it over here, or I could put it on the end. I could do whatever I want with this. Um, in melee, I would say that this would be a +1 or something like that to the unit to the front. You fight with each file, just like in MaG, but having more ranks might give you a bonus. That would be one reason why you'd want to go in March column. Uh, the downside is you got a narrower frontage, but that also might be an advantage. But I like having units that are even and not odd, right? So the way Land of the Free does it is they don't do 8 figures on one of these bases. They do 6 figures. They do 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And they kind of tighten them in so there's a bigger gap between the figures on the bases, so you can definitely see how many figures are on a base or on a stand. So actually, for the same number of figures, if I did 6 figures on a stand, if I did 6 figures on a 40 millimeter stand, this wouldn't have this many figures, obviously. It would be shy 8 figures, right? Yeah. So it would be that many figures on 4 stands, hypothetically. So I could make a medium unit 4 stands because I like even numbers. And then a large unit I could do something like that. That's if I did 6 figures per stand instead of 8. Or I could go 8. And just go 6 for a large, 4 for a standard. I'm going to have to put some more thought into it. But basically, that's my thinking is I want to go with bigger stands. But I also don't, because I want that to be your standard size unit. Six bases. And this way, you can do a march column. I'm sorry, an attack column. You can do a march column. You can do a line. But I want you to be able to do that as well. I want you to be able to do this or that. I want you to be able to form whatever you want to form, however you want to form it. And that would be a straight line, 1 figure deep. The downside, the upside is you're covering a lot more area. The downside is you're covering a lot more area. Downside for the game is they're covering too much area. The upside for the player is he's getting to cover more area. But if the player runs out of space, that's his own problem. The game doesn't need to worry about that. The player needs to worry about that. So maybe I stick with the 15 millimeters. you know? And then give them incentive in the rules to be 2 ranks and not force it, right? Don't make it mandatory, but give the player a reason to want his troops to be in 2 ranks. Because if I do that, the player has agency over his troops to decide to go 2 ranks or not to go 2 ranks. Right? And then also allow him to have like 2 ranks wherever he wants his 2 ranks to be. He doesn't have, basically allowing him to position his companies wherever he wants them. And that was another thing. Each one of the stands was going to represent a company, and companies didn't fight in this kind of formation. They fought in that kind of formation, right? So this actually violates the look that I'm going for on the table. It was just, I was able to just facilitate medium-sized units could form attack columns. That was the attack column was the main reason why I got away from that. Small units, but now I don't have to call it. I could just not call it line, column, march column. None of that. I could just leave it. There's no formation minimum width and no formation maximum depth, right? So if I wanted to do that, I could. That's just up to the player to decide. In MaG, you can't do that. You have a maximum of 4 unit depth, but they don't have. But their scale is not battalion. Their scale is like, think of it like maniple. It's not a maniple. It's a legion. So each one of these bases is a maniple, and they don't do march columns like this. In MaG, you have a minimum of a 2 base width and a maximum of 4 base depth. But you can do something like that in MaG. You just can't do that. Where I think in my set, I'm not going to impose any kind of limits like that. I'm going to say you can be as thin as you want. You can be as deep as you want. One of the advantages of being thin, and here I'll kind of show and I love this range ruler. I was thinking I could very easily translate this into a set of rules as well. But if I was wheeling this unit and it had a wheel or a movement of 3, right? That's 1. Yeah, I would need a circle. I would need some kind of circular pattern. But if you could imagine 3 going there and there and there, I could almost do one of these numbers. That's almost 3 base widths. The way MaG measures, they measure in a straight line. So if I was to pivot on that point, but measure from the outside, that's only 2 base widths, right? If I was to go from here to there, the measurement is only 2 base widths. But you and I know that's way more than 2 base widths, because it should be a circle, a 40 millimeter circle. So what I would do, and what I plan to do, is make a wheel template a lot like Napoleon's Battles has. And then I would do one at 1 base width wide, and then one at 2 base widths wide, and then maybe another one at 3 base widths wide. So if you could imagine a 3 base width wide wheel, you're only getting that far in your wheel. So it's about 1/3 of the circle, right? But that's at 3 base widths. If you were only 2 base widths wide, you're getting about a half of a circle. But those are also with straight lines and not curves. Yeah, so that's the way I would do it. I would leave it. I think I like the 4 figures on a base. I like 4 figures on this base, 2 ranks, and I like 4 figures on this base. I don't know about this 15 millimeter depth versus a 20 millimeter depth. The 20 millimeter depth does give me a lot more room for figures that are in the skirmishing, like kneeling and firing, or, you know, got their bayonets lowered, stuff like that. Like these guys, they've got their bayonet up at about 45 degrees, but there are, and most of these are good to go, but there are figures that have got their bayonets down super low, or they're standing and firing, And I almost always have to put those figures, when it comes to these 4-figure bases, I almost always have to put those figures in the back rank so that they don't stick out too far in the front. But I think on a 20 millimeter base, I think I would have a lot more room to maybe put the row of figures a little bit further back, and so that they would have that an extra 5 millimeters. I know it's not a whole lot, but there is like this extra 5 millimeter that would really help out with that kind of stuff. Now, do I think I need 3 figures across or 4 figures across? Well, I've been thinking that it would be. Now, MaG uses, and I'm stealing a lot from MaG, so just bear with me. MaG uses a 2, 3, or 4 figure annotation. So, like, their 2-figure bases are skirmishers, which we could very easily do that as skirmishers for or units that are deployed in skirmish or whatever. We could definitely do that. 4 figures in MaG are close or drilled and formed close. Just close. I'm trying to, yeah, it's close. So they're either formed or drilled or tribal, but it's basically close, which means their shoulder to shoulder is much closer. And then there's 3 figures, which is marked as loose. I think I wouldn't mark them that way because everybody fought close. I think I might mark them based on maybe not quality, but like training. So we've got drilled and trained. That people that are trained or formally trained would maybe have 4 figures. But then there's militia, which I might make 3 figures. And that'll kind of show that they're a lower quality. Okay, speaking of command and control, generals in my rules, because I had no idea about cards or chits. I did have some ideas about cards from the Soldiers of Napoleon game that I have. I haven't never played that game, but I've kind of looked through the rules and I've glanced through the cards, and I their cards are more like events and less of command, even though they are. I could make my own cards. I thought about that, or I could just roll dice. And I was thinking that my generals would either roll 1, 2, 3, or 4 dice for their command pips. And the way I was planning on doing it in my set, in my rules, which I'm not sure how I want to do this, but I was going to roll for every brigade commander a d6, and that's how many units that he could move, right? If you rolled a 1, only one of his units could move. If you rolled a 6, then 6 of his units could move. And then I was going to let the division general roll a die and then give his brigade commanders pips. I've decided to do it a little bit differently now. I think I'm going to stop at the division general, let him roll. So basically, we're getting each division general, probably 2 to 4 generals, right? Or division generals. They have their own divisions, they have their brigades under them. And they roll their dice. And most likely they're going to be rolling 2 or 3 dice. The really good generals will roll 4 dice, and the really bad generals would roll maybe 1 dice, but that's going to be super rare. A bad general is probably going to be rolling 2 dice. But I'm going to do kind of the same thing. Mediocre, competent, trained, or what is it called? Well, there's legendary. Maybe it's competent, trained, and mediocre, or something like that. But either way, it's 1, 2 to 4 dice, right? But they're not going to be pips. They're going to be results. So a 1 or a 2 is just discarded. So if you roll a 1 or a 2, just pick that die up. It counts as 0. And then the other dice, you have to leave them face up behind your general. They're either going to be a 3, 4, 5, or a 6. Certain maneuvers will require a certain number on one of the die. So if you get a bunch of 2s, then you can't perform anything that requires a 3. If you no, not 2s, because 2s are discarded. So if you get a bunch of 3s, you won't be able to do anything that requires a 4, 5, or a 6. I don't think anything's going to require a 6. Maybe a very... No, I don't think anything is going to require a 6. I don't know. Maybe a poor militia unit might require a 6 to do something or something. But what that's going to do, and I don't know how this would really affect the game, but if a normal general is rolling 3 dice, one of them is going to be a 1 or a 2. I'm going by odds. The other 2 are going to be 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6. So the generals will have generally, no pun intended, 2 dice of actions. I think I want to let a division general upgrade one of his dice by 1 pip. So if you roll a 2, a 3, and a 4, instead of discarding the 2, you could change it into a 3. So we'll have 2 3s and a 4. But if he needs that 5, he can convert the 4 into a 5, but he'll have to discard the 2. But most likely, most of my actions are only going to require like a 3 or 4, most likely. Now, when it comes to shooting, it's going to be, and melee, that's different. But for command and control, I think most commands are going to be 3s and 4s. So the division general will roll his dice. He'll get his number, his die number, which is probably going to be 2 dice, maybe 3, something like that. And then that's how many battalions can act. Now, or how many orders he can give, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but I want it to be that way. I want it to be very minimal. Like on my turn, I roll my dice for my 3 generals. Each general gets about 2 actions. So that's going to be a total of 6 units on the table actually acting. And then my opponent is going to do the exact same thing simultaneously with me. And then we will go back and forth expending those dice from our generals, activating battalions to move and perform some kind of action, like a charge or a wheel or an advance or stuff like that, right? Formation change. So on my turn, I move like 1 unit. Now it's your turn. You move like 1 unit. On my turn, I move like 1 unit. And it'll go back and forth. And once we're done moving, then we'll do shooting and melee and stuff like that. And then it'll be the end of the turn. And we'll roll dice again. So the turns will go by fairly quickly, and there won't be a whole lot of, activity, because I don't want there to be my entire army moves across the table, wipes you out, and now it's your turn and you don't have anything to do. I want it to be alternating. What that'll do is keep both players engaged, and because the turns are so short, it'll keep both players engaged, because it'll be my turn, now it's your turn, it's my turn, now it's your turn, now let's both roll dice, now it's your turn, it's my turn, it's your turn, it's my turn, and it'll go on and on like that. It's going to be base loss. Excuse me. Yeah, so in my original idea, I was going to have like this on the table, and then I was going to mark units with casualties, and I was going to kill off figures, right? A lot like Napoleon's battles. And then but never removing a stand, just marking the back rank. And then once the back rank was completely marked off, then the unit was destroyed or something. I don't really know how I was planning on doing it. But with a base shooting and a base combat concept, every time you lose a base, you're reducing, and no restriction on formation. When you lose a base, you lose a little bit of the fighting capability and the shooting capability of your unit. If you lose multiple bases, now you're really hampered. I love that. And then instead of just doing a straight 50% or more than 50% immediately destroys the unit, I was going to do a percentage, and it's going to be easily divisible. So, like 50%, once you lose that, you're at 50%, the unit's destroyed. I might do a 60% or 66%. So, like, when you lose 2 bases, that's 66%. The unit is destroyed. Or a 33%, right? Or 1/3. It might be a 2/3, 1/3, 1/2. Fractions might be a lot easier to do math on. So if you lose 2 out of 6, you're destroyed. If you're a 1/3, which might be a militia, right? Or a skirmisher type unit. Standard units are going to be 50%. That's like your normal average run-of-the-mill unit. And then some elite units like the Guard, they have to lose 2/3 before they're eliminated. There's not going to be, and to save on die rolls and to save on, because I thought about this, rallying units, having them go back into the fight, and units that run away, units that come back, disorder or disrupted or routed markers and stuff like that. I decided not to do any of that BS. When the unit is eliminated, when it's routed or broken, the unit is just picked up. You just pick it up, and then you measure from the unit that's been picked up to see if there are any other units, around it that would be affected by seeing one of their friends route. Not like in MaG, they have units route back a number of inches, and then anybody they run through, they might cause casualties on, and then they're picked up. I would just, to make it fast, just say they're picked up. Eliminate that whole route, pursuit, chase. None of that. That's all bull. That's all BS. I would still have cavalry. If it charged a unit and it destroyed the unit in the charge phase, I would allow it to move again and continue that until it stopped. Well, I would have it roll a die, and if it rolls good enough, have it continue. So it could do like a breakthrough attack and giving Cav a big advantage. Yeah, I don't know exactly how far I would have shooting. I'm thinking 3 base widths. I'm thinking 3 base widths for shooting. That'll put units, like this close together on the table shooting. Maybe rifles getting 4 base widths. or maybe rifles getting a 6 base width and light units getting a 4 base width. Maybe skirmishers and light units getting 4, and just your regular run-of-the-mill troops get 3. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I'm just letting you know. I've been thinking of rebasing 4 figures like MaG, like that. Haven't completely decided yet. I've also instead of 2 figures, go with 3 figures on a wider base. Yeah, that's the idea. All right, let me pick this up a little bit and let me get out my Russian models that I was going to be gluing together today. Now, while we're on the subject, Old Glory is now up. If you guys are shopping for Old Glory miniatures, go onto their website. I don't know if you're on their mailing list, but if you're on their mailing list, you've already got this email and you know what their promo code is. But right now, they've got a promotion going on. It's the Labor Day sale, and it is Labor 100 if you order over $100. If you order over $400, I do believe it's Labor 400, and they even have a $1,000 order. If you order over $1,000, I don't know what the code is. It might be Labor 1000, maybe, but I know that the Labor 1000 is a 50% discount. So if you're looking to pick up an army or 2 or 10, now's the time to do it. If you want, you can just go to my store and you can pick up some miniatures from me. I've got Old Glory models on there. I'm not sure if I have any of the Zeistons or the Forged in Battle or anything like that. I think I've just got Old Glory when it comes to 15s. I've got quite a few 15s on there, but they're not, it's not a complete listing. Like if you're wanting some, I don't know, Brunswick, Napoleonic figures, I don't think I've got any on there. And all my 15s, well, let me rephrase that. A lot of my 99% of my 15s on there are new in the bag. And they're at a discount, so they're less than on the Old Glory website. I did that to give you incentive to go to my website. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, but I'm not in any hurry to rebase my Napoleonics. To be honest, um, I wanna. I'm not gonna rebase any Napoleonics until, or even paint. I'm not gonna paint any more Napoleonics because once they're done painting, I need to base them. So I'm not gonna paint anything until I've 100% decided on how I'm going to do the combat, the melee, formations, basing, all of that. Once I've figured all of that out, and I know I won't be making any more changes, then that's what we'll do. We'll, yeah, let's do this. There we go. So, I've been painting and basing ancients. Quite a bit. And I just finished putting an order in through Old Glory for my Marian Romans. I have a bunch of Marian Romans already, but I don't have any of them painted or based except for some cav and some skirmishers. Uh, I really need a bunch of legionaries. I have about 1/3 of the legionaries that I need. Um, Now I put that order in. I'm still waiting for them to send me an invoice because Old Glory, those discounts, coupons, those codes I just gave you, if they don't work on the website, they ask you to submit your order as a pay by check, but in the comments request an invoice. And then what they'll do is they'll send you a PayPal invoice and you just pay it by PayPal. And that's what I did. So I'm waiting. It might be today. However fast they get to it, I'll check. Um, I have a Cromartie order in through Plastic Soldier Company. So Plastic Soldier Company, in partnership with Cromartie, has started selling some Republican Romans. Now these are mid Republicans. They actually have Imperial Romans, or I guess they're early Imperial and late Imperial. They just don't have any. They don't have any late Republicans. So, but I did order some Cromartie, and that was on the 11th of August. They haven't shipped it. It's on hold. It's been almost a month. I contacted them, and Anita, she's the one that replies to those emails. She said, and this is unusual. I guess it's not a holiday in the UK, but she replied on Labor Day, saying that due to this being a new thing with them, they were overwhelmed with the amount of orders they received, and production has been slow because they make it they print it when you order it. So I bet you a bunch of people ordered it because it's a new thing. And she said it was overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed. And she looked at the orders and said that mine will be ready to go in about a week. So in about 7 days. So I anticipate, that was Monday. So I anticipate next Monday being shipped. And then sometime during the week, next week, receiving it. So that means it would have been a full month. Would have been longer, actually. But that's okay. And that's partially where my Roman camps are coming from, the Cromartie order. So while I was waiting for this Cromartie, plus I ordered some Republican Romans, but and mainly I didn't order these guys to to um to use. Like, I wasn't desperate to get these Republican Romans in stock or in house because I have a whole bunch of Old Glory Romans on my eBay store. So if you're interested in that, you can go there. But I got them in because the pictures are not pictures of the figures, they're pictures of the 3D art, the computer graphics of the models, and they look really good. But I wanted to see if the art matched the model. So I ordered some as mainly a trial or a test. So when they come in, I can do a review, an open box, what's in the box, and show you guys what you would get if you ordered them. But they also had camps. They have two camps. They've got a campsite that you would use for DBA, Field of Glory, or MaG, for on a 80 by 120. It's like half of a campsite wall with some tents and a fireplace or a campfire or something like that. So I thought that was good. And then I also ordered the marching fort. The marching fort is probably a 10 by 10 inch square, right? Walls on all four sides. And I ordered, and that comes with a bunch of tents on the inside as well. So that'll be good. When I get that in, I'll be making a campsite if it is as good as it looks on the graphic files. I noticed that they sell shields separately. So if you wanted one type of shield, with lightning bolts or with cows or with, whatever on the design, you can order those shields separately. I thought that was pretty cool. But the Romans that I ordered already had designs on their shields. So when those come in, we'll see what those designs look like. If the graphics, if they're smooth. You know how 3D printed models sometimes aren't smooth? They sometimes have, you can see where the printer printed the lines. That just tells me how good the 3D printer is. If they're not using a really good 3D printer, I'll let you know. If they're using an excellent 3D printer where it comes out perfectly smooth, I will let you know. I will show you. So I'm excited for the Cromartie models to come in. So while I was waiting, because I'm an impatient kind of person, I knew that the campsites the camp tents that I already have over there were made by Boetta. So I went to Boetta and I found that they've got like 2 or 3 dozen uh, different camp tents and cooking pits and torture chambers and all kinds of stuff like that for your campsite. And I ordered about 6 to 8 tents, I think. So I ordered some thatched tents for like my German, for my German army, and I ordered like a Bedouin tent, I think, for when I do my Carthaginians. I have some Greek tents for my Macedonians. I have some medieval tents for my English, French, and Burgundians. I already have one medieval tent over there, and I've got a Roman tent as well, but I'm not putting the Roman or the medieval camp together because I'm waiting for the Cromarty to come in because they've got some Roman tents in there as well. I think that's it from Boetta. I ordered some thatched roof. Well, everything I ordered from Cromarty. I'm sorry, Boetta was campsite related, I do believe. Um, yeah, and I ordered some Macedonian elephants along Old Glory wise, along with those legionnaires for the Marians that I was talking about. Uh, I don't know what else I ordered with Old Glory. Maybe some archers and some javelinmen, maybe. Um, I don't remember, but either way, it was mainly so I could finish my Marians, my late Republicans. But even though I ordered those, I don't plan to touch them until I get some of these commissions out because the commissions, they're in house, they're ready to go, ready for me to work on and paint. I didn't realize with a damaged hand, you know, the these are just friction blisters. Because I'm not working out in the yard or anything. I don't know where these blisters could have came from other than packaging miniatures using bubble wrap and the plastic causing my fingers to get friction burns and painting. But I didn't realize how hard it is to put these Field of Glory tanks together when you're gimped out like this. Because it's a little hard to hold the pieces in your fingers and holding the snippers and stuff like that. I didn't realize how much I used this hand for that. So it's taking me a little bit extra time. Yeah, it's taking me a little bit extra time. But that's okay. It'll still get done. And it will get done to the quality that I expect. Um, You know, we've got, what do we got? Some SUs. Some IS-2s. You know, I got 2 SUs, 2 IS-2s. Got 3 Panthers. 2 Jagdpanzer 4s. And a Jag Tiger. Yeah, this is what I've done so far. And I'm still working on these 64s. I got 3 of these. And I've got 4 more T-72s to go with this lot. And yeah, so that's just slowing me down. Also, I don't know if you know this, but I have early access to Starfield, and I've been playing a little bit of that. I haven't played it in a couple of days now, mainly because of my fingers. But Starfield, I've played 3 multi-hour game sessions live. So if you go to my live tab, or if you find the playlist for Starfield, you can see my playthrough of the first, let me guess, 4, 5, 6, about 8 hours is how much I've played so far. Xenonauts 2, I'm trying to continue my Xenonauts 2 campaign. It's getting tough. I stopped playing the second campaign, started a third campaign at max difficulty, and now I'm getting people killed. The nations are turning against me. My guys can't hit the broadside of a barn. The aliens hit me every time they shoot. That's good, because the first couple of times I played, I had it on mid difficulty, and it was just way too easy. It was starting to get boring. So I maxed the difficulty out, mainly to give myself a challenge. And it's definitely challenging. The Soviet Union is at 91% fear, and as soon as they hit 100%, they surrender to the aliens. They withdraw. And if I lose 2 nations or 2 territories, I think I'll lose the game. So they're already at 91%. And thirdly, I have the Troop. The Troop, about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they just released a new patch that included a campaign, so you can actually play a campaign. I think it's the 8th Brigade of the Commonwealth Canadians. 8th Brigade, might be the British, I don't remember. But you're playing after Normandy, uh, like the battles near Caen and stuff like that. So I'm playing that campaign, and I've noticed the first couple of games I could play under an hour, but after about the third game, uh, those battles are lasting about 3 hours apiece. I record the whole thing, but when I upload it, I split it into like 1 hour chunks. And then upload them like that. So it's not all at once. Um, and one of the reasons why I did that, here's another point. Rumble. I've been uploading to Rumble really focusing on Rumble this last year. Previously, it was all hit or miss. I threw like 5 or 6 videos up on Rumble. It was no big deal. But I figured I was going to I hear so much about Rumble and how great they are and how much you can make on Rumble and how better it is than YouTube and all that stuff. All that is a lie. Um, I have been focusing on Rumble. Or I'm not going to say focusing. I've been giving Rumble a lot of attention for about a year now. And, well, I guess January, it'll be a year. And every video, 99% of every video that I upload to YouTube, I copy it onto Rumble as well. So it's a mutual upload. I monetize it on Rumble, which basically means I assume, I don't know because Rumble doesn't really tell you, but I would assume it's similar to YouTube in that you get ads run on your Rumble videos, and then if people click on those ads, you get a penny or two. On YouTube, I don't make a ton on YouTube. I'm going to tell you right now, I make about $50 a month on YouTube. That's not a lot. That's very little. I do not sell merch, but that's not really true because I do promote my eBay store, and people might be coming from YouTube to my eBay store, so that's good. But directly payments from YouTube/Google, I only get about $50 a month approximately. Sometimes less, sometimes about $50 a month. I put out a video or two every day on YouTube, usually an hour or so. So if you look at 30 days in a month, for about 60 hours of video, because of uploads and editing and stuff like that, it's probably more. It's probably closer to 80 hours. I'm making less than $1 an hour making videos on YouTube. But I don't make the videos for the $50. I do it for you guys, and I enjoy making the videos. I just do. I like hearing myself talk. Plus, I like showing off like different product. I like showing off the projects I've worked on. I'm not doing that because I want to make money on that. I just enjoy showing you what I'm doing. Uh, and if I can make another $50 a month, then that's great. That's icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes to Rumble, this is where the conversation starts. For the last year or so, I've been focusing on Rumble. I've monetized all my videos. I have made 0 pennies, not even 1 cent on Rumble for the last year. Well, in January it'll be a year. Okay, so no big deal. You know, you got to get started somewhere, right? I didn't start making a ton of money on YouTube the first year, but this is not my first year on Rumble. I've had videos on Rumble for many years. It's just it was sporadic. Every now and then I'd upload a video. Now I've been focusing, like every video I do, I'll put on Rumble. I anticipated $1, $2, $5, something coming in a year. 0 pennies. I've made 0 on Rumble. I am going to continue it until January. I'm going to give it a full year. I'm going to evaluate it. I believe I'm wasting my time and effort putting it on Rumble. Okay, having said that, I'll make a video, right? Like, let's talk about the troop. I'm recording the troop. I see that it takes multiple hours to play a mission. I will break it down into under an hour and I will render it. And I'm only going to render it once. I'm not going to render a video 2 or 3 times. Not unless I have to. So I'll render the first 1/3 of the video. I'll edit out what I need to edit out, and I'll squeeze it up, and I'll put any graphics on there I need to or whatever. Music, whatever. And then I'll render it. And my program will say something like estimated size 14 gigabytes. And I would be like, okay, that's perfect. Render. And it'll come out to be 13 gigabytes. Great. I'll upload it to Rumble because Rumble has a maximum file size of 15 gigabytes. I could lower the resolution to like 1080 instead of 1440, and it'll make the file size a lot smaller. But that's me compromising my graphics to put on Rumble, which I'm making 0 on anyway. Okay. And then I'll do the second third of the battle. I'll edit it out. I'll make it about an hour. I'll put the graphics on there, the music, etc. And then it'll say approximately 14 gigabytes. I'll render it, and it'll come up to 15.1 gigabytes once it's finished. I try to upload it to Rumble, and it says, file too large. I'm not re-rendering it. One reason why, it takes hours. And it took me an effort to go through there and edit. I would have to go through there again and edit it out even smaller. Or re-render it at 1080. I ain't doing all that for a video on a platform that I'm not making anything on. No, F you. So, and then I'll do the third video and it'll say, oh, it's only 12 gigabytes. So I'll upload it to Rumble. So when you're looking through my and that's another thing. Rumble doesn't have playlists. It's not, you don't have a channel. It's not organized. The upload system is ghetto. Rumble is actually a very I'm not going to say broken system, but it's very limited, right? I thought it would be like a really good second option, and it's not. It's not. So, I'll continue monitoring my status on Rumble, but if I don't see any kind of income or any kind of change to my account or anything on Rumble by January, I'm going to give it till the end of the year. I'm just going to stop using Rumble. I'm going to turn it off and never go to it again. I'm just going to continue to use YouTube. I look at my views, like I'll upload a video, like this video. I'm not uploading it to Rumble. This is live. But if I make, like my store news updates, I do them once a week or whatever. And I'll upload them to both Rumble and YouTube. YouTube, I'll get like 100 or 200 views. That's all I expect. How many customers do I have? I don't have that many customers. Who cares about my store? Maybe about 200 people. Okay, cool. I look at Rumble, 3 views. So the people that would be looking at my stuff are not on Rumble. So Rumble doesn't pull the type of people that I want to look at my videos, but YouTube does. Or because I have almost 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, YouTube might be promoting my videos to all kinds of gamers that might or might not want to view my videos. Rumble, I have I think I've got like a half a dozen subscribers. Not many. I don't think it's worth my time and effort. Okay. So what would happen is, let me push up my glasses. So what would happen is, if I stop handicapping myself to 15 gigs to be able to load into Rumble, then I don't have to break it up into those 1-hour segments. I could just render a 2-hour video. It might be 20 gigs, and then I upload it to YouTube and let Rumble be damned. Okay, so that's me venting about that. Okay, so another thing. This is I'm just shooting the shingles with you. I see that we've been on for 2.5 hours. Looks like I got a 24-hour notice for more shipping labels. Yay! I got some shipping labels coming in because I'm down to my last, I don't know, 20 shipping labels. So I'm glad I got them coming in tomorrow. Okay, but I'm thinking about, okay, I started working on a website on Wix, right? It's a free website, free everything. It doesn't do anything. Um, I think it's active, but I never go to it. I made a website back in the day on GoDaddy, and I it was called screamingeagleairsoft.com. I at the time and even now, I think that URL is just way too long, right? I'm gonna Wargaming and miniature.com would still be way too long, I think. So it might just, and I can't use wargaming.com because that's already been used. And I can't put like, I thought about WIM, like WIM, Wargaming in Miniature. Um, or I could just say Wargaming in Miniature, War in Min, maybe something like that. Or uh, Gaming in Miniature, something like that, right? But I'm thinking about going back to GoDaddy, getting a URL, which I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't terribly expensive. Using their website creation software, because I did this back in 2015. No, before that. 2010? 20, no. Would have been about the same time. It would have been about the same time I was between jobs. Before I started after Convergys, there was a big flood here in Clarksville, 2012? I'm guessing. But around 2012, I had a website for airsoft guns. And I would sell airsoft guns on the website. PayPal would be my payment processor. Um, I think I could easily, I've been thinking about creating another website, um, dual purposed. One would be a gallery of all my uh, everything I've painted. Um, Maybe not everything, I don't know. But basically, a gallery of things that I've painted, but a place where people can go to be inspired or recruit me for a commission to paint their miniatures for them, to sell miniatures, but also, so a miniature portion of it, but also Marshals and Generals. Maybe I call it Marshals and Generals. I don't think I could go Marshalls.com because that's a retail store. And I don't think I can go Generals.com. Maybe I can. But I could go MaG, Marshals and Generals. Maybe MaG would work. But I bet you MaG Pull or something like that already has. Or Naps or Napoleonics.com or something like that. Right? But I was going to have like a section that talks about my Marshals and Generals rules. Maybe rules clarifications, maybe rules errata, but a place where you could purchase a PDF. Now, I know there's a place, Lulu.com. I don't know if you've ever been to Lulu, but they will take any PDF and print it professionally and bind it for you. And I've been thinking about making a PDF professionally. I mean, really putting an effort into it and getting it printed at Lulu and making this website with a link to that so that if you wanted my rules, you could go there and get it printed. Or you could download the PDF. And then as I go with like a second edition or a third edition, base changes or maybe army books or something like that, I could put it on that website as well. So I'm really, really, really heavily thinking about starting that in 2024. Getting a website URL and starting work on a website. It's real, as of right now, it would just be pictures with the Marshals and Generals pages to follow. You know, I used to have a website on Engine. I don't know if you know Engine. Engine is a very easy to use website builder, but it's kind of, it wasn't, it was expensive. Let's just say that because it's a free to use website builder until you want to actually do something with it, then it becomes expensive. They have well, you can't get your own URL unless you pay through the ass. But if you want to get rid of all the ads and stuff like that on your website, you can. You can take surveys and stuff like that, and it'll give you credits that you can use towards that. I use that for like a guild website. I stopped using it. No need. And that's another thing. If I've got a URL, I could take another section of my website and dedicate it to my online gaming community, Discord, any of that. So anybody that, I mean, it would link to the Discord. It would maybe have a gaming forum or something like that on the website. And then, so we've got like a Guildy. I think Guildy is actually another site, but I've never been there. So yeah, I've been really thinking about consolidating and staying on eBay but also having my website um, so that people could order directly from me, or they could find me on eBay. uh, I think would be good. Um, Now, eBay's got limitations. I can't link my eBay. I can't have external links on eBay to a third party, which is my personal website. So, like if you find me on eBay, you're not going to see anywhere on there that says go to this website for direct sales or anything like that. Find the forums or Discord. You can't link that through eBay, um, which I understand because eBay is a business. They're trying to make their money, so I get that. And if you're on my website, there would be absolutely no reason for me to link you to my eBay because that just doesn't make sense. If you already found my website, just get it on my website. Um, and I could list all the product, and it could say out of stock, right? And we're on eBay. I can't do that. I can't put something is out of stock. It's either actively listed or it's not actively listed. Um, so let's say I've got 3 Stone Giant models. I'm looking at them right now, and I have it on eBay as 3 Stone Giant models. And every time you sell one, the quantity goes down. Same thing on the website. But at least on the website, when it gets to 0, it'll say out of stock. Where the eBay, the listing just disappears. And then if I get more Stone Giants, I can just go to my website and change the number from 0 to 3, and then boop, it's back up, it's ready to go. Where on eBay, I have to create a whole new listing. Sometimes I can go through my sold history and I can go scroll. Oh, Stone Giant, there you go. Relist, and it'll let me relist it. But if it's more than about 90 days old, I can't find it anywhere. And how often do I get these Stone Giants in? Once a year? Whatever, something like that. So, or I'm just saying odds and ends. I could get paint in, and then I can list, I would be able to list more things on my website than I could. Not more than I can list. And okay, that's another thing. eBay has a maximum number of things you're allowed to list. I have a store on eBay, and there's different levels that you can pay for. So you've got like the bare bottom, which I think is like $19.99 or something like that. And that gives you like 250 items you can list. I think it's like 50 auctions and 250 buy it now. I hit the 250 buy it now. Okay, auctions. Let's talk about auctions. So I list 50 items on my auction. After 7 days, it relists those auction items because that's what I do. I set it to automatically relist. So if it doesn't sell, it automatically relists. So now those 50 items just went from 50 to 100 items, but I'm only given 50 for free. 7 more days, another 50. 7 more days, another 50. So that was 200 items listed in 1 month that I didn't realize. This is for I have since learned, but at the time I didn't realize it was going to count the same item. I mean, there's no fee for listing, for relisting, okay? But if you have a store, those 50, if you exceed those 50, you get billed like 50 cents per item. So that was 150 items that I got billed 50 cents a piece every month. In addition to the $19.99 or whatever it was to get a store. So I said, "Oh crap. This is killing me." I mean, $75 or whatever it was. But still, it was like $100 a month. And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." So the next level up was like $29.99, and it gives me 250 items. So I figured, well, that's a better deal, right? I can just go $10 more and then list those same 50 items, and it would stay under the 250. But I don't really have a whole lot of auction items on there anymore. Every now and then I'll put an auction item, but I'm staying with the buy it now items. And it was 250. I think it's 500 now. So I can that's my level, I think, is the mid range. So I can have like 500 items buy it now, and buy it now stays on a month and then relists. So that is pretty much a one list as long as it stays under 500 items. I'm currently at like 470 something. And I've got a lot more stuff that I want to list. I'm looking over there at my Rubicon bases I want to list. And just today I listed a bunch of 20 by 40 bases. Oh, I've got some fantasy figures that I was going to paint up. Was wanting to list. I've got some World War II. Once they're painted, I was going to list them. They're not painted yet. But, well, my number's gone down because I sold a bunch of vehicles. But okay, either way. That was another incentive to make a website. Because then I could just list everything on the website and only put like a limited quantity of things on the eBay store. I could bring it back down a level, back down to the $19.99. So there's $10 I would save. Or not, or leave it the way it is. But if I need to, I could use that money to what's the word? Not compensate, maybe compensate for the increased cost of the URL. For some reason, something in the back of my mind is telling me that a URL was like $20 a year. But I could be wrong. It might be like $7 a month. You know what? While I got everybody on the line, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that either. Or that. I don't even know what I'm doing. Hold on. Should be that. There we go. Okay, let's just... We're getting ready to end this video here real soon. I'm just... Curiosity killed the cat. You know what? I probably could have done this. There we go. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. That's the calendar. Whoa, I didn't mean to open you up. There we go. Let's get rid of the Xenonox thing that I rendered. And new window. Okay, what's this $1.99 online store builder? Get your business online with ease. Yeah, see, that's domain.com. GoDaddy official site, GoDaddy domain names. And then there's Wix. Wix is the website I was using. I'm just curious. It's been a long time since I've been to GoDaddy. Yeah, what's this? Grabba.com for a penny for the first year. That's great. How much is it after that? Okay, .net is $14.99. .online, is that such a thing? I never even heard about it. Okay. Yeah, websites and hosting. Okay, let's see. Okay, $14.99 per. Okay, what if I wanted a .com, bitch? Okay, there's no .com. .vip sounds really nice. .net, I don't have a problem with that. .net sounds really good. .shop. .pro says you're the best. Okay, this amount is how much? Is it per year? What's that asterisk? Is it per month, per day, per year? What is that? I love the penny for the first year, but Okay. Website, online store. Okay. I don't want to check availability. Start for free. Templates. See, GoDaddy, it makes it like super easy. FAQs. When you're ready to sell, simply upgrade from your free plan to your e-commerce plan, $24.99 a month. Yeah, GoDaddy has their own payment thing. Yeah. No interest in selling, no problem. Check out our website building plans. Pick one that works for you. Right. Marketing, pick a domain, setup. Yeah, is it per month? Simply upgrade from your. Okay. Add all your content and products. Set up pricing and shipping. Make sure everything looks just right before you pay. When you're ready to sell, simply upgrade your free plan to our e-commerce plan to open your online store. Okay. So yeah, you can get started for free. Okay, that's web online store builder. You can start for free, but yeah. They have a fee for accepting payments. Okay, I think that might have been why I stopped. I was selling airsoft guns. Okay, so let's go back a bunch of pages. What is this domain.com? Get your first year for $1.99, which is down from $21.99. So they're saying that a .com is $29.99 a year, right? 2-year purchase required. Price in cart will be $23.98. Okay, so I'll have a .com for 3 years. Okay, they have advanced tools like a website builder. Let's take a look at this, because this seems like a reasonable. It's better than $24 a month. Is their web builder free? Doesn't say. Is a leading web technology company one of the nation's largest providers of website builder services? Aha. Online store. Renews at $29.99 a month after the first year. Okay, so it might not be an e-commerce site. It might just be a website that it's still $15.99 a month. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into it and think about it and figure out which way I want to go with it, because I don't know if it's financially feasible to have an online store if I'm only selling, commission items. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. All right, guys. Well, that's where we're going to call it. Thank you for coming out. It's been 3 hours. So be sure to check out my eBay store. Go check out, let's see, what happens if I hit this? All things wargaming with a focus on historical miniatures, as well as modeling, miniatures, painting, wargaming, terrain, and our eBay store, Wargaming and Miniature. Now you can expect what's in the box product reviews, assembly guides and how-tos, modeling tutorials, game review boot camps, store weekly updates, my personal project updates, and secondarily, computer game playthroughs. Now be sure to check out our eBay store, Wargaming and Miniature, for miniatures either new or painted, rules, dice, etc. And if you need work done, just email